Join us in this episode, part 2, with Willie J on wisdom on the front porch.
Middle school, and you get to impart this wisdom to the next generation that say, listen, I know we're living in a microwave society, and I
Right.
know things progressed, and the pace and tempo of life is so fast, and everybody wants
Oh,
it right
yeah.
here, right now, right now, right now. And like microwave, bing, things up, but does it just come to you in a flash?
Sitting on the front porch with family or friends brings a cherished sense of comfort and connection, where the simple joys of music and conversation blend into moments of shared wisdom and growth. It's a space where life's lessons are exchanged freely, and every interaction is meaningful. Today, whether you're in a digital cafe, a Zoom meeting, or at an in-person event or social gathering, that's your front porch.
Because that's anxiety. This is a society that's full of anxiety.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
It's
You
full
were
of,
talking about taking that risk and we're still going up, the up and down. And I thought, when you're climbing a mountain, climbing a ladder, climbing the stairs, you are not staying on the same level all the time. You can't get to top by staying where you are. So you need
right.
to take that step up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
maybe there's, I don't know, some squirrel left some nuts there and you step on it and you slide down and get hurt, but you're okay. You can still get up to the top.
Absolutely.
Or there are those
Mhm.
around you. That's your support team, who are the top 5 that are around you all the time that you're listening to. But you are always going up. So yes, things are going to change because you're going to a different level, not so much, yes, a higher level, but not higher as in I'm so much better than everybody else. That's not what we're
Exactly.
talking about here.
Absolutely.
We're just talking about you're learning more. But you just keep going on in the days, today I'm not in the best health. I picked up something somewhere or ate something I should have. I'm not really sure. But so today I take a rest, I only
Yeah.
had to cancel one of my appointments, but
Mm,
you
great
can do that and
information.
we'll meet tomorrow.
You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, you're right. You have to take risks. You have to be courageous, and we have a saying. I hear you mentioning the word preparation. You definitely before every destination, there's a sense of preparation, and I write about this in one of the new books that's going to drop, before the year's out. Probably be my sixth or seventh book by that time.
Nice.
And that is preparation before destination. That's my
Yes.
quote.
I love
Yeah,
that.
before we go to our jobs, whether it's church, whether it's a business, whether it's to the park, there's a means of preparation. Every day we wake up, we go and do
Definitely.
hygiene, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah. You've got your morning and your evening routines. And as
yeah,
business people, I've been hearing this a lot, not just from one source, but from several sources. It must be something that really needs to be said and needs to be heard is you
yeah,
have that morning routine that you are committed to. Why are you committed to? Not because it's something you really love every day, because sometimes routines are just really tough and boring. And
right.
sometimes you wake up late and the alarm doesn't go off or whatever, but you have that routine that you go through because it's the discipline of it. You need that
That's it.
discipline, right?
That's so true because you can be in that restful posture from on the surface, right?
Hmm.
Know, on the outside looking in, and you could be a wreck laying in your bed and not
Yeah.
yet have inner peace. And that's not always an indication that you're at rest because you decided to lay down, you know,
Yeah.
still be going overtime, right? And that's so essential for entrepreneurship too. These are
Right.
things I you know I get asked a lot of questions, from all types, A, B, C lists. And I think everybody's great. I think everybody has the God-given potential to be great and greatness in them, right?
Yeah.
But I say, really get your mind right first. That's your means of preparation. Believe. You have to get your belief systems together. You really do about your be the brand. Prepare to be that brand that you're trying to present to the world or the masses, or even if it's a local business. Those are still nations of people, right? And
Yeah.
everybody, yeah. And don't focus on trying to win everybody. Focus on trying to win somebody. And then
Yeah,
before you
dude,
know it,
one person. Yeah.
one,
If you
one at
focus
a
on the
one
one
life at
person,
a
that's what I
time.
tell my writers who's sitting in the chair. I really need to write that book. I keep saying I'm going to, but it's like, who's sitting in the chair? All you have
Yeah,
to do is focus on that one, because
that
when you
one.
have a clear idea of who it is that's in that chair, when you're
Yeah,
talking to that person, when you're speaking to that person, while you're getting ready to speak at an event, if you keep picturing that one person in the chair, the clarity, the
yeah,
focus, it just
right.
falls into place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's more clarity as far as the direction of your writing. That's so true. As opposed to, and like me and people like ourselves, like as opposed to knowing that, oh, we have, many countries who listen to our music or read our books, our number one
Yeah.
national bestsellers. But when I'm writing, I don't typically think about all of those people. I think about one person.
That's awesome.
What is that? What do I want them to take away? This one individual,
Yeah.
and I try to envision that they're going to cause a ripple effect, and say, oh, I was so empowered by this, this content that Willie J put out, and that they'll, the rest will take care of itself, and gotta give the increase. But
Yeah.
one life at a time, it tends to help you to write better, record better, studio or whatever you're doing, and
Yeah.
just focus on one life, or coaching, just one at a
Yep.
time. You
Yeah.
know,
I
that's the avatar.
agree.
You know what I
There
mean?
you
Like,
go.
who is
Yeah.
your avatar? Like that one person, that one idea person, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that
Yeah.
person could be the next whomever, Einstein or
Oh,
somebody.
definitely. And even if, I've heard this before, and I've seen it more in the last couple of years, that, so you give your talk to one person, whatever you're talking about, whatever your purpose is, your motivation, you're talking to that one person. Well, that one
Yeah,
person is going to talk to somebody else, and then that person will
absolutely.
talk to somebody else, and maybe that one actually talks to 1,000 other people. So it's
Exactly.
gonna keep going, what you have to say, I
Yeah,
still say you have great value in you. You're worthy, you're enough, you do matter,
yeah. And
because
that's it.
it's
That's
gonna
it.
keep going.
That keeps a lot of anxiety away. It keeps your heart pure. Uh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It keeps you. It's great to have. Like I say, there's a business to everything. We understand about
Right.
branding, different things like that. But even with branding, it's like my avatar is this one type of person, but it may supersede that one type of person. But as far
Yeah,
as
yeah.
building that brand, the content centered around that brand, right? The cornerstone of that brand. It's just that, okay, I want someone to come away hopeful that they can do it right where they are. They can start that business, as you say, right at home. Or me and my buddy, we started our
Yeah.
business. Many people thought we started it in New York or LA, and we have different branches and stuff. But we started in the least likeliest place to start a business, small little town, with a big vision. And
Mhm.
we want to show people, don't be afraid. Despise not the days of small beginnings.
Yeah.
And take those steps. Enjoy that process, because it's going to give value to your growth, right? Each time you
Right.
go step to the next step. Okay, step number 2, level 2, boop, boop, boop. And now you remembered all of the turmoil and turbulence from level 1 or 2 or 3, and it keeps you grounded. And it
Oh,
keeps you grounded.
definitely.
And
Yeah.
and I think that will cure a lot of anxiety, because a lot of entrepreneurs suffer with, people in general suffer with a lot of anxiety, but
Mhm.
in terms of entrepreneurs, they really do, because
Yeah. Everything
they
rests on their shoulders. They don't have
everything
a
rests
boss
on
to
their
rely
shoulders.
on.
Yeah, yep, it's all on
They
you.
are the boss.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. But what helps though is to build that, pray and ask God to give you that dream team.
Yes.
And you find out that it takes a team to birth a dream, and God will send you the right people, and you value that team, and you get people that have that, like, that are like-minded and have kindred spirits,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they thrive on your why. They gel with your why. You funnel your team through that, why you filtered them through that. And now you have a bunch of people with their own personalities, but they understand the vision and mission statement. And that makes your life so much easier. And
It
I'm
does.
share that with the younger generation that's coming after us, like the millennials, and say, hey, you're going to start alone at first. Don't be afraid to start alone at first. You have God.
Yeah.
You're not really alone, actually.
No.
But right. but on the surface, it may seem like, oh man, I have this big vision, and you don't know. I said, well, don't jump right into a team right away. Understand
Yeah.
your vision first as an entrepreneur, and as someone who wants to present a brand to the world, and become the brand, the embodiment
Oh, yeah.
of the epitome of your brand, and then the others will follow suit and see it clearly.
Oh,
They'll be
definitely. Yeah. If you've never been around water, you've never learned to swim, you don't just jump into
uh,
the deepest part there is and know what
yeah,
to do.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you gotta
absolutely.
gotta be again, you gotta be prepared. And you take those people say, oh, I don't want to take these baby steps. It's taking too long. And it's like, well, you're learning, you're going through the
Right.
process. And if you take too many big jumps to get where you want, now you've missed out on all those little things in between that are going to make your life so much easier when you go on to the next level. We need to not
Exactly.
get ahead of ourselves so we miss things.
Exactly. I'm getting
Yeah,
my charger together here. You keep
that's
talking.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it
anxiety will
was
cause you to miss some steps. I got a message from that, what you just said. When you get too anxious, I have this saying now that I didn't want our conversation to get cut off in the middle of this good content here. It's amazing
right.
content. Um, that's something. I gathered some from hearing you. I find that to be true too. Like even with the nuances that come with writing books and putting together, you know, just some will call it sermonettes or whatever, or presentation speaking points, and even coaching in writing books or even the songs. When you're in a rush, if you have the overwhelming tendency to try to kind of like skip over some things
Yeah,
because you're
yeah,
just trying to get there. And it's not
yeah.
because you didn't know it. It's just more or less you're like, I gotta get here, I gotta get here. It's just like you rushing on a trip. You ever done that on a plane? I remember going to
Oh, yeah.
Kaohsiung, Taiwan, and I got so excited. It was full expense, touring. I had to speak at some workshops, Manila, Philippines. And I recall this story is crazy to me to this day. And I learned a hard lesson. Don't be in a rush, Willie J. I was so excited, thought I had everything together. Then I got in a rush and left my passport. And I
Oh,
had to catch
no.
the next flight the next day away apart from the band. And then what they did, they were so cool and they got theirs switched over so that we could still be on the same plane. So
Oh, nice.
all
Nice.
because of it was all because of rushing though. I was in a
Yeah.
rush. That
Yeah.
anxiety is never good, anxiousness.
We're getting
And
too excited. It's like,
yeah, you get too
yeah,
excited. And
you see,
I
you
think,
watch little kids so excited, and it's like, all right, calm down, calm
yeah,
down.
calm down
You're
just a
gonna
little
get
bit.
there, you know.
Just a little bit. I've had to
You
do
got
that
to
with
get
some of
both
my
shoes on.
I've had to do that with some of the team behind my book. It was like they're so excited. They're like, "Oh man, I can't wait this book." We taking on the Speakers Globe. We taking it to London and
Oh,
around
nice.
Europe and different, around the States, New York and Cali, everywhere, and even South Africa. And I say, hey, we want this right. We don't want any regrets, man. You don't
Yeah.
want any regrets. Because first impression is really everything in certain cases. You
Yes.
can't come back.
Yeah.
I do believe in redemption, right?
Yep. Yep. That's where grace comes in, you know?
Especially with God. Yeah, especially
Yeah.
with God and grace and true, grace and mercy. But I say, however, knowing what kind of industry you're dealing with sometimes with people, nothing's perfect with God. No one's perfect. But you do want to make sure that, oh man, I regret that I didn't give this my best effort.
Yeah.
Or or give it the proper attention that it deserved. Not that I was trying to be perfect, but because I'm doing this for God and his people, I want this to just be my best because that's all he requires. He doesn't
Yeah.
require me to be perfect. He doesn't require me to be flawless because I am, but he does require Willie J to be patient and let patience have her perfect work, right? That I want be wanting that and say, oh, and that happened. And that's not the only time, to be honest, that that's happened plenty of times in my life. Especially when things are, happening and,
Yes.
doors are opening and, like, oh, and that's when God said, hey, come here, fella, come here, son, let me talk to you. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you're supposed to do it.
That's right.
Just, yeah,
That's right.
maybe it's not a permanent no. It just means not right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's
I
what.
love that because it's, or sometimes he will say no
And
because
sometimes it's a
there's
flat out no.
something
Yeah.
better for you. And this is
Hmm.
not good for you at this time, but maybe later it will be. There's, you know,
That's
what is
true.
it? There's a time and a place for everything. And there really is. And there's a season for things.
There's a
And
season.
and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
sometimes it's difficult. It's like, but it's here now. Why can't I do it now? And it's
Yeah.
like, it's just not right. Do you trust
Yeah.
me? And it's like,
Do you
yes,
trust
I
my
trust you. Okay, I stop.
Yeah. 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 He rebuked me. And he does it in love, right? When he
Oh
rebukes or stuff.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
told me this. My mom rests in heaven, and my aunt rests in heaven. They passed away from breast cancer. We got a project coming out where we're gonna kind of donate, Never Stop Winning, and then a few of my songs, love songs, love ballads that we're doing partnership with St. Jude. But my mom and my granddad all are in a better place, and they were big on gardens, right? And
Oh
I
yeah.
I remember in tomatoes, right? I remember going to a garden. God took me back in time, and it was as if I was reliving my childhood. And I went back, and I was standing over like in this vision or dream, and said, "Mom, I'm those tomatoes are good. I think a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, or something like that. I may have been longer." And I said, "Oh, good. I want those." He was like, "They're not ready yet." Oh, I was like, they look like they're ready. They look harvested. They look like ripe, right? It
Yeah.
look ready. And he's like, "No, you can't." And then I remember this in so many words. She said, you remember, and God said, remember when your mom told you that you couldn't eat that before it's time, the harvest? And, yes. And he said, you can't make a garden grow before it's supposed to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't make a tree harvest before it's supposed to harvest. So be like that garden in me. Be like that tree in me that's planted by the rivers of water, like the book of Psalms,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That and do in his season or her season that you'll produce the fruit and it won't wither away ever. I
Yeah.
said, well, that's what I want. That's what I want. And not like a tree, because sometimes, if you want it prematurely, like seed time harvest, as long as the earth remains, that's something we should remember. And that's something that I used as an entrepreneur, speaking of the culture, the entrepreneur culture, is that I try to come in and I write about this, that you're going to have to remember these three things. That there's seed, you continue, you be, like you said, consistency. It compounds. I believe it multiplies, and
Yeah.
it consistent on the right thing, right? But seed, time, and harvest. I think if every entrepreneur went in preparing their minds that, okay, there's a time where we're going to have to sow, till the ground, till the soil, and plant and water and nurture.
Oh
And
yeah.
and then there's a time and there's a timing and alignment that goes there. This is where most of us get tricked in. It can become frustrating if you don't understand that, okay, now it looks like the fruit is ready. Then he took me by, I was a little boy in this park. He said, man, that apple tree and that berries, they look good. They look good to eat. They look good to go. And I went closer to the apple, and from a distance, it looked like it was ready, ready to be harvested and ready to be put into my little sack. But when I went up on it close, it was actually spoiled.
Oh.
There was cankerworms that came out of it. But
Oh.
from a distance, it looked like the fruit was ripe and ready. It looked like it was ready
Yeah.
to go. So what did I get from that? Well, just because it may look like you're ready, Billy J, doesn't mean you're necessarily ready. Only God knows the perfect time.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
his timing and his alignment is perfection.
Yeah,
I,
it is.
without him, I hit and miss, but God never hits.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, the one thing that comes to my mind too with planting something, you put that seed in the ground and you cover it with the dirt and you put some water on it. You have to step back and
Mm,
let time as it
time.
grows and it gets the root going down and the top coming up and it starts growing. Because if you're always over there watering it and messing with the dirt, you're going to end up killing the seed. You're going to drown it because
That's a great point.
it can't keep going on with that. And even as it gets bigger, if you think, okay, it's gone there, I can just forget about it and let it go on its own. No, you can't. You've got to
That's
make
true.
sure that it has water. You got to make sure that you're keeping the insects off of it. I mean, there's still going to be some there, but not enough to damage unless you aren't paying attention, you
That's
know?
so true. So
Yeah.
there now the question remains with a lot of entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneurs who kind of understand, but it's the time factor that gets most people. And I believe that's
Mhm.
because of the microwave society and people paint these pictures, media and social media, put this picture out there that things happen overnight and that they should happen overnight. That is
Yeah.
not how you live your life. It's the journey, right? But here's the question: how we could help people is, what do you do in between that time? You got seed time, harvest. Now, that was a beautiful depiction of saying that now you got to step away and you can't overwater and keep messing with the ground. Now that you planted and watered and nurtured.
Yeah.
Now, my aunt used to step back and my mom, she used to talk to the garden. So they stepped away from the nuances of like planting and watering. So they done that part. Now they went
Right.
to the next step. Now here's the waiting period. So most people faint in that process, part of the
Yeah.
process.
Because it's
If
tough
you
to
know,
not
you know what I
do.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
do you do? And it's like that's where I think we want to really help people. And what I find
Yeah.
to be kind of helpful is that that's a good time to definitely level up with your language, faith language,
Yeah.
your mindset. Deal with your mindset now that you planted, you watered. Now do the visualization techniques, right? See
And
yourself,
yeah. You see the
see it,
harvest. You
the
read the
harvest.
books,
Yeah,
you find
see the
out what
harvest.
to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
This is a time where you do your research for further on. What
Research.
tools am I going to need when it comes
Yeah,
time later? How do I take care of it in between the growth? Trees take a very long time to plant or to grow once you planted them. You know,
that's true.
you're not going to have just one season and there you have a big tree
A
ready
big
to
tree.
produce
Yeah.
fruit. You've got you look at I came from the Willamette Valley, and the year that we left, everybody was planting hazelnuts, and
Mm,
they're not going to get hazelnuts for 5 to 8 years. That's a long
wow.
time to wait for your crop to go. In the meantime,
It is.
they're
It
taking
is.
care of things, they're making connections, they're getting to know people, they're talking with the other people who are in the same business, which is what we do as entrepreneurs. We just keep learning, we keep making connections, we find out what other people are doing. And this is where you can support each other. Maybe you've got your crop planted, but your neighbor hasn't yet, and they're not quite sure what to do. So
Yeah.
go find out what's your soil like. What do you,
Yeah. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
do you go find your seed? Where do you go
Yeah.
find the tools you need?
Yep.
And this is where you
Yep.
support each other.
Yeah.
And I love that about entrepreneurs because we are there to support each other, not
We
just
are.
to always do it for ourselves. Yes, we're growing our own business, and that's good. But by helping you grow your business, our business just grows automatically. I don't understand the
That's it.
synchronicity, the harmony in it, but it
Yeah.
works. The more you help somebody
Yes.
else, the more your business grows.
That's the law of giving. Give and it shall be given. Jesus said,
Yeah,
give and it shall be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over. Men are giving you your
yeah,
bosom. I do believe that the more you're willing to give in that power of collaboration, when you help other people grow their business, grow their ministry. I mean, I remember before I had a business, I would thrive on, having other positions where I may have a position where I'm cool with the executive or I'm cool with the CEO before I became a CEO. And you said right before that time, the harvest, a lot of people don't. And I caught what you said, and that's important. That's back to preparation. Are you preparing for that harvest that you say you want or that you've just planted? Because it's going to surface. It's going to harvest in due season. Due season. And this is where the entrepreneur and anyone, I think we're spiritual farmers. I liken us to spiritual farmers, right? And we're sowing every day and we're planting in our lives every day. And this is what the Lord told us. He said, be not weary in well doing. Do the right thing, help people out because that's just the right thing to do. It always comes back, right? And this is what he's told me about due season. Don't be weary because this is where most people become weary in well doing is that time factor where it's looking as if like the tree. I thought that was brilliantly put out there that a tree doesn't grow overnight. It takes a lot of times it takes years for a tree to grow. Could take up to a decade or more. And I think this is what he showed me about a due season. And I asked the Lord one time, I said, what is due season? And everybody has a due season in their business. There's a season where you're ever growing. So I almost don't like to, I really don't really like to say, there's a season to learn. No, every season is a season to learn, okay, and grow. But you know what I mean? But there's this season to understand where I said, what is a due season? What do you do? What can I help? How can I help even clients and other people, other leaders like ourselves? And like you said, we're entrepreneurs together. And there's so much power and collaboration. I was like, well, just always be mindful of seasons. He said, due season is those are seasons. That's the season that's due. Like a due date, like a woman who's pregnant. The due date, the doctor gives her a due date. And it's typically, and it's interesting, you said 9 years is 9 months to pregnancy, right? And I just think we're all walking around with things in our wombs and sometimes we're not mentally aware. And I think that's where we can help the culture become more aware of these things we're talking about. I think these are not just the flashy stuff. Like people look at your number one, see these plaques and these different things, right? But there's so much strategy behind the scenes and things you have to grow through and failing. Oh my God. I, that part I think is people are afraid to fail.
Yeah, and it's too bad because failure is not bad.
It's not
Failure
bad.
is something that didn't work, but you find out why it didn't work. You learn from it. And you
Learn
go,
from it.
okay, I could say it was a failure because this family member's book didn't go to number one. Well, it wasn't a failure.
It wasn't.
When a lot of the rules have changed, but
Yeah.
what this person gained from it
Yeah.
was so much more. It
No
was
doubt.
just the lessons learned were so valuable.
No
And
doubt.
so you take that and you go on. And the lessons I learned, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
what do I do about this? How do I make sure that I get better next time? And that's it. You want to do better next time. And
Better.
and it's okay. It was um it was just an amazing experience all the way around. And I know the experience isn't over yet. We're still
Right.
talking about other things. There's still more things going on. Um, this family member has a children's book coming out now. Really, really
Yeah.
amazing children's book. It's so cute. It's for like four to
Yeah.
7 years old.
Yeah.
But, you know, just because something didn't do this one thing, it did so many other things in the meantime.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
talk about the blessings that was received from it. Just phenomenal. It really
Yeah.
was. So
Yeah.
there is no failure. Just because it didn't go the way you wanted it
That's
doesn't
it.
mean
That's it.
anything bad. There was other great things that came from it. So
Exactly.
So you just
Exactly.
keep adjusting. It's like in the water. You can't
Yep.
just take your
Yeah.
boat and
Yeah.
head it due north and not expect to run into things, especially if you're in a river. There's going to be rocks in there. There's going to be logs in there.
Mhm.
There's going to be turns, you know. So you've got to make adjustments. You've got to
That's it.
not just go with the flow. Yes, you're flowing because you keep going, but you're managing what you're doing along the way. You're taking
Yeah.
note of it. You're learning from it. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I know that I can't head for the rock and expect my boat not to break up,
Mhm.
you know. So I need to
Exactly.
steer it around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
that
it.
just keeps you going up. Like I said, taking that next step, you're getting one step closer to where you need to be.
One moment at
Yeah.
a time. One, not even just one day at a time. One moment at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. You just
It's so
take each
easy to get
one.
ahead of yourself. Yeah, you know. And I
Yeah.
think that's where we can really empower some entrepreneurs to help
Yeah.
them understand that, be willing to adjust, and
Yeah.
make adjustments, and yeah, don't just go with the flow. That's why we flipped that word and said grow with the flow, because you're gonna have
There
to
you
grow,
go.
from something. That flow is going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be mistakes, unintentional error. You
Yeah.
know, you just didn't see coming. Even being prayerful, there's just going to be things where you're like,
Yeah.
God, like, look, just leverage your failure. I have this quote: leverage every moment, whether it be good or bad. And what
Oh,
do I mean
yeah.
by leverage every moment? Not just the good stuff. Leverage that bad stuff, whether it
Yeah.
be good or bad. And if you can do that, you're going to be constant. I remember Kobe Bryant, right? He said he was watching a film, a tape, and it looks as if they were losing the game. It's like by the score of it. But when you ignored the score, and they still ended up winning the championship, actually, he won that whole series. But he said what was astounding to him was that it looked as if they were still winning when the numbers said something different, but they
Yeah.
were constant. He said, we were constant. We remained present. That's what I got from it. And in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, if we can get people to see, no matter what, a baby fall, I write about this when my daughter started walking. Like they are so resilient. Like you said, they're the biggest dreamers and they're the most resilient ones, right?
Oh, yeah.
They can see it fall, they Lego, they building, and you see they trying to walk and they get right back up, try it again, get right back up. And eventually, boom. It's the
Yeah.
crawl, walk, and run method that we've utilized in. And I
Yeah.
think everything crawls at first. Nothing just like there's this crawling season and there's this walking season. A baby doesn't come out of the mama's womb running. And if they did, that's a horror movie.
That's true. Yeah, that would be quite scary.
That's horrible. I would consider that demonic, like not miraculous. No, I haven't seen that yet. I haven't read anything in the Guinness Book of World Records or anything in history where a mom birthed a child and that little Johnny and the Sarah came out running from the beginning, right out of
Yeah.
the womb. So our
Yeah.
business, so in entrepreneurship, that's something I think we can help people to see, and enjoy every season. See that baby crawling with the little saliva coming out, and they're just happy as all get out, right? It's just
Oh,
going around,
yeah. Yeah.
going where they need to go. And we should be that way. You're not gonna crawl forever. That's the good news. That's the blessed
Yeah.
hope. You're not gonna crawl forever. You crawl the right way, leverage every moment, whether it be good or bad. You fall down, okay, be resilient. That's where your brilliance is. You're never gonna know it all. And neither should you try to know it all.
Oh, no.
Just know what you need to know in order to grow
Sometimes
through
the
it.
fun is in the learning. You
Yeah,
know, the
it is.
joy is discovering things. You know, I think that's why
Too.
kids are just, you know, a
Yeah,
good example because they're so excited about everything. And what is this doing? What is that doing? Why does it do this? Because they're just so excited about discovering everything. And as
yeah,
entrepreneurs, everything we do, we're discovering ways that don't work. We're discovering ways that do work. We're
do work.
discovering
Yeah, that's good.
marketing might be hard, but we can do it. Let's find out what's going to work. And then when
Exactly.
you got it, it's like, yes, just
It's
celebrate and rejoice.
euphoric. It's right. There's the godly euphoria kicks in, and
Oh,
the
yeah. Yeah.
aha moments. But it comes through trial, error, and reflection, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
you have to be willing to make mistakes. You know, once you can gather that, you always try your best, but sometimes your best may come with a little error. It may come with
Mhm.
a compilation of mistakes. But don't let that deter you from what God put in you and that vision and that dream. You know, it
Yeah.
will certainly come
Yeah.
to pass. So just, you know, I love what you say, discovery. That's right. As a kid, I remember myself and then my daughter, how she was, and she's 18 in college and doing very well. And I just remember she was just excited to know about everything,
Oh,
trees,
yeah.
how the trees work. What is the organism? What is the origin of the trees, the grass, the sun, the stars, and God, and everything, the water. Why is that water that way? Why is this lake here? Why is
Yes.
this house built this way? What is the architecture of the airport? Why is this like this? Why did we buckle up? It had this look of a fascination on her face.
Yes.
And that's how
Yes.
entrepreneurs. So my question would be this. This has been an amazing thing. I would want to know with what is the name of the magazine once again? I got it written down, but I want to hear it from
Yeah.
you. And
Wis-
what do
wisdom
we
on the
want to,
front porch.
yeah,
Yeah.
the wisdom on the front porch. If you were to give me
Um,
a synopsis of this magazine, like, you know,
what-
from your
oh,
perspective.
oh, a place to go to gain insight. I'm struggling. I don't know what to do.
Hmm.
I don't know what to do. Here's a place to go to find out the steps for what you're looking for. That's why I have columnists that go from health to mindset to digital. A lot of people have trouble just navigating the digital world and all the things that are on there. I mean, that's a whole different way of looking at things, and
Yeah.
it's just a source of being able to find the support that you need, being able
Mm,
to lift each other up, giving people a place to have their voice heard. Because not only do you have the regular columnists, you have the special columnists, such as yourself, who's going to have something in there.
yeah.
We have Duchess DJ, who travels the world with a mother with dementia.
But I love
And
that vision. I love that vision behind what you're doing. The wisdom off the front porch or wisdom off the porch?
wisdom on the front porch.
Wisdom on. Why did you name it wisdom? That's catchy. Why did
Because
you
of,
name it
of
wisdom
my
on?
grandmother. My grandmother didn't have a traditional front porch. Her front porch was part of the house. It was enclosed, and if the weather was too hot or it was rainy or windy, we'd sit inside this little porch area, and that's where we would snap peas or snap beans. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a porch, but that's where we would spend time together. And you know, we didn't live next to our grandmother, so it was a special event when we got to come and visit with them. And while we were there, I would see how my mom and her sisters and brothers would interact and how they would talk, and they would share stories, and they would talk about what's going on in their lives, and just support each other and share it with each other. And the wisdom that came out of there, just listening to them, you learned
Yeah,
about life,
that's true.
and I think of the families who are musicians who sit on the front porch, play their guitars, banjos, harps,
Yeah,
whatever it is that they're playing.
this is
Yeah,
crazy. It's my upbringing too. Part of my culture
yeah,
is I'm younger, but I grew up in some in the inner city and on the east side of St. Louis, and a lot of my aunts and grannies, we moved away from the inner city. Right, I was probably about 12 or 13, but still came to visit certain ones, and
yeah,
still, but a lot of wisdom did come from being on
yeah,
my grannies in particular front porches, and that's it. That's where a lot of my wisdom given people, associate. I said, well, hey, first give glory and honor to God for His wisdom, but let me tell you
yeah,
something. He surrounded me by some very wise, older, wise counsel coming up. You know, people who had been through, my parents, my grandparents' parents, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
just, I typically hung around older people, because I was always reaching for knowledge. I didn't understand
Yes.
why. And but yeah, I always want to learn, and I was astounded too to hear my granddad's stories in the 50s and 60s, and I'm like, whoa, it's like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the
that's how
story is my grandmother, 3 years
yeah,
old, would pull the chair up to the sink so she could do dishes. 3 years old. Can you
yeah.
imagine that? And that was just normal,
It
you
was a
know?
norm. It was the norm,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and it humbles you. It's just you watch how creative they were with
Oh,
just
yeah.
with little resources, and then they turn little resources to plenty of resources. It's like, wow, that's amazing. And I think that's the idea of entrepreneurship. That's a great name. I love that. That's good. And it definitely something that I can relate to. It's not just something we're doing, but it's just
Right.
I know it's a God thing that we've connected, and you presented the invitation. But just so happened I know about that porch that you're talking about. I have things that took places on those front porches, right? So
Oh,
but I
yeah.
do a shoot on a porch because that's a part of my childhood. That's a part of my, upbringing. And we learned a lot on that porch.
And I do
Austin's
have a front porch now.
congratulations.
I love it.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
Took me a
So
lot
yeah,
of years to get that front porch, but by golly, it's there and it's great.
absolutely. That's
Now
awesome.
my front porch is on my laptop.
There you go. And
Yeah.
that's awesome. The digital front porch. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and then we can, definitely inspire people to become more aware of their digital porches and to
Yeah.
make sure they have the right crowds, people, around them, people of wisdom and people of understanding and know-how, wherewithal, and all these different.
Right. I'm gonna write that down. Be
Yeah,
aware of your digital front porch.
yeah, yeah.
You had so many great, what do they call it, golden nuggets.
Thank you.
I
Likewise.
just really appreciate
Likewise.
you being here and taking the time to
Yeah,
spend a few minutes and talk on the
yeah,
porch with me, share
absolutely.
some
Yeah,
wisdom.
definitely enjoyed it as well.
Yeah,
Likewise. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you
Thanks.
so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
God bless.
God
Bless.
bless you too.
Thank you for joining us today on Wisdom on the Front Porch with your host, Ellis Kirkpatrick. You can find us on our website, wisdomonthefrontporch.com, see previous episodes of the podcast, and view issues of the magazine. Did you know you can submit questions, leave reviews, or suggest topics? You can also tell us where your favorite front porch location is and what it means to you. We hope you gain value and insight from today's or previous talks. We appreciate your support for us so we can continue to provide value and expertise to you and others. Subscribe to Wisdom on the Front Porch magazine and receive a second year absolutely free. This is a limited time offer available exclusively to those who mention the name of today's podcast. Join in next week when we bring you another great insight into the world of entrepreneur culture and lifestyle. Make today a great day. Always believe that something wonderful is going to happen.